So, who makes the better breakfast? Is it the English or is it the Americans? Well, today I'm going to be trying popular breakfast from both countries to see who's best. So let's start off first with the English breakfast. So for the English breakfast, I decided to go to a place called Lucky Days, which hopefully for me it will be today. It's located on Briggate and is known for good breakfasts and lunches. It's got great reviews on Google and TripAdvisor, so let's head in and check it out. The inside is deceptively large, with the main counter and kitchen on the ground floor, with some really nice cakes, pastries and savoury items on display which all look delicious. There's seating available across I think 3 floors, and I decided to sit on the first floor. The decor is modern and contemporary, with really nice looking lampshades for the lights. You can even have a window seat if you fancy and get a good view of the street below. The menu is pretty large, with many options available from bacon sandwiches to eggs benedict and croissants. There's a large selection of cakes and desserts that you can choose from, and even wines, but I think it might be a bit too early in the morning for that. There's only one thing I'm picking today though, and that's the proper Yorkshire breakfast, as it says here on the menu. Plus a pot of tea, because a full English breakfast would not be a full English breakfast without a cup of tea. I like that they give you the milk in a little milk bottle too, which I thought was a nice touch, and the tea was pretty good as well. Now this was a great looking breakfast when it came out, with all the usual items you normally get in a full English breakfast, but with a light garnish of chives on top, which I've never seen before. Even the toast got a bit on it as well. So this breakfast comes with a decent sized sausage that looks to be cooked nicely, some fried button mushrooms, 2 poached eggs that looked perfect. I can't wait to cut into those yolks later on. A couple of slices of thick cut toast with the butter wrapped in like a sweet wrapper, which is the first time I've seen that done before, so we'll have to see what that's like later on too. 2 rashers of smoked back bacon, half a roasted tomato with pesto on it, which is another first, so it's going to be interesting to see how that tastes, and a big slice of black pudding which is hiding under the pesto tomato. I'm going to start here with the sausage, and let me tell you, this was a dense sausage, so probably a lot of meat content in it, but it's fried well with a nice golden brown charring on it. So let's go in for a taste and see how it is. The sausage is pretty good. It's definitely got a lot of meat in it, as it was pretty heavy. Maybe a bit too much meat if a sausage can ever have too much meat, but still a good sausage. Next up, the smoked back bacon. So bacon is one of the great food pleasures in life, and this one looked great, with it being thick cut and also the fat on it too. So let's see how it tastes. The bacon was indeed great. It was meaty and salty, just how bacon should be. Now I've got to cut into the yolk of these eggs, as poached eggs normally have the nicest runniest yolks, and these were perfect. I think normally you would have fried eggs, but I don't mind if the yolk is perfectly cooked like these were. Next, the mushrooms, and I've said it before, but I like it when they're cut into big pieces like these, as they give a bigger bite than the sliced ones, and these indeed had a great bite to them and were great. Now for the beans with chives, which is a first for me. The beans look good, and I like the consistency of the sauce too, so let's try these out. I really like these beans. They were nice and soft, and the sauce was rich and tomatoey and sweet in flavour. I couldn't quite taste the chives, but the beans were great. Let's try out the pesto tomato next. I think this might be more Italian than English, but let's give it a taste. It's pretty good, exactly how tomato and pesto would taste together. Okay, so for the black pudding, I'm quite looking forward to this, as the black puddings I've had recently have been pretty good, and this one looks great too. I've cut off a little piece, so let's eat it. This was definitely the cakiest black pudding I've ever had. It was just like eating a piece of cake. The texture of it is exactly the same. I think they should be calling this one black pudding cake on the menu. Now for the butter wrapped up like a sweet. I've got to find out what this is like. So there it is, a big stick of butter. Let's spread it on the toast. The butter is pretty hard, so not that easy to spread, but I think real butter is supposed to be like that. I eventually managed to spread it, and the toast actually looked really good with the butter on it, and it tasted really good too. You get a salty butter flavour, and I like that they use a thicker cut slice of bread here. So a full English breakfast would not be a full English breakfast if you didn't combine the items, which is exactly what I did here. I've got egg, tomato, sausage, mushroom and black pudding. What a bite. And this is what a full English breakfast is about, combining the items in the flavour combinations that you like. What a nice full English breakfast. I particularly like the beans and the toast. So the total cost of that meal was £14.75. Let's move on next to the American breakfast. For the American breakfast, I decided to go to a place called Giraffe, located in the Trinity shopping centre. It's on the 3rd floor and is a good sized restaurant with seating inside and outside. Now I know it's not technically an American restaurant, but it was one of the only places I could find where I could get an American style breakfast, so let's head in. The inside is pretty big with loads of seating available. It's quite a long restaurant where you have an open kitchen on the far end where you can see the chefs making the food, and there's also a bar area with all the drinks on display in the middle. I particularly like the lights hanging from the ceiling. Have you ever seen any lights more fancy than this? I don't think I have. So all in all, a pretty modern and stylish looking restaurant. The menu is pretty large with loads to choose from. They have the all day menu and the breakfast menu, which is served until 12 PM, which is the one I'm going to order from. The dish I'm going for is the maple and bacon and pancakes, but I'm going to add an extra couple of eggs to make it bacon, eggs and pancakes for the American breakfast. And since this was the American breakfast, I ordered an Americano coffee to go with it instead of tea. And the coffee was pretty good, especially with the milk in it. So when the breakfast came out, I have to say it looked delicious, and the sweet smell of the pancakes with the maple syrup just made my mouth water. How good does this look? So with this breakfast you get 3 pretty big American style pancakes, which I have to say again smell incredible. Some streaky bacon on top that looks very crispy. A massive slab of maple butter which you can just see hiding under the bacon, 2 fried eggs with what looks like lovely runny yolks, and everything covered in maple syrup. I'm going to start off here with the streaky bacon. It was pretty thin cut, I have to say. I could barely get my fork into it, but let me tell you, it was really crispy and it did look good with the fat running through it. So let's go in for a taste. The bacon was great. It had a nice salty meaty flavour, and combined with the sweet maple syrup it really worked and was delicious. I have to go for the eggs next as the yolks are looking too good, and they were perfect. Really nicely cooked with runny yolks ready to dip things in. And now for the main event, the pancakes. These were really soft and I just had to cut myself a piece to try, and with the maple butter melting into it, I think it has to be delicious. I even spread more of the maple butter into it so I could get as much flavour in it as possible. The pancakes tasted amazing and were just as good as they looked. They were soft and fluffy and bouncy. They had a slight crisp to the outside, and when covered in that maple butter and maple syrup, it just gave a really nice rounded sweetness to it. These were great pancakes. I just had to get a bite with everything on it. The egg, the pancake, the bacon, the maple butter and maple syrup. It was a great bite of food. Although I do have to say, I don't know if I was totally convinced with the egg in that combination. The bacon and pancake and butter and syrup together, that was great. And the egg is great on its own, but I don't know if it quite works together for me. Maybe I'm not used to having a savoury egg with sweet pancakes because it's the first time I've ever tried it. So I might have to have it a few more times to get used to it. But overall, a delicious meal, and I can see why it's a popular American breakfast. What a great American breakfast. I particularly like the pancakes, they were delicious. So the total cost of that meal was £14.75 as well. So which breakfast was better? Comment down below which one you preferred. I think for me they were both delicious, but I think the English breakfast takes it for me. just for the variety of items that you get and the different taste combinations that you can put together. Okay, if you like breakfast, click on the thumbs up icon below and click on subscribe to come along for the next food journey, and I'll see you in the next one.